All right, good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, everyone. This is Follow the Money brought to you by Nairametrics. My name is Ugo Dre. We do this every Monday, 8 to 8:30 a.m. on the station. This is a purely capital markets show where we essentially look at the Nigerian equities and how they've done the week before, and we also often look at fixed income securities as well. Anything that has to do with investing and making your money work for you. Whoa, it's been a very busy week so far. It is the earnings blitzer. Yep, earnings blitzer essentially is when you have a lot of stocks releasing their results or companies pushing out numbers. It is officially the earnings season and it started a couple of weeks ago, and there's been a flurry of results out there. You want to pay attention to these numbers because it probably determines whether your investments are going to go up or down, particularly in the equities market. I'm sure you do have portfolios that include stocks. And even if you don't know what they are, you probably have investment managers that are managing some of your portfolios or your investments, and you want to check whether these stocks are doing very well, at least on a fundamental level. And the only way you measure fundamental levels is through their results. And so it was a busy week, but we're going to get to results in a bit. Before that, what is going on globally? Donald Trump was straight out of the blocks yesterday with a massive tariff imposed on. The funny thing is that the tariff was imposed on 3 of its major trading partners. It wasn't just like he was imposing this tariff on enemies. It was 3 major trading partners, and that is Canada, Mexico, and China. And he had warned that he was going to do this. Now he's done it. I kind of think that, one of the reasons why Trump did this was to send a loud and clear message to everyone around the world that is a new kid on the block. Well, not necessarily a new kid, but a king is now on the block. And so when he says he's going to do something, he's gonna do it. So I guess maybe that's the message that he's trying to pass out there, that don't try me, I'm gonna do it. Now, what's interesting is Nigeria is not affected in any, well, at least directly, but there's an article on Nairametrics. You might want to check it. Nigeria is one of the 48 to 50 or so countries that the U.S. runs a trade deficit with. What that means is that Nigeria runs a trade surplus with the United States. We do export in terms of value more than we import from them. In fact, last year's data was around $9 billion or so in terms of total trade between Nigeria and the U.S., and that was like in the first 9 months. And so, but that that whole trade skewed in favor of Nigeria at about $5 billion in terms of exports and about 3 point something billion dollars in terms of import from the U.S. So I don't know. Are we going to be a target at some point? Because Trump has said he's not really keen on renewing AGOA, which is that African Growth Opportunities Act that was enacted under the Bush administration, which allows exports from Africa to the U.S. To be at a next to zero tariff. But Trump is not really keen on that. And even if he wanted to, be rest assured that it's going to be on different terms. And with Nigeria running a trade deficit against the U.S. or a trade surplus in favor of Nigeria against the U.S., I don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, what we do know is that global markets have reacted to this, and stocks globally are down. The Canadian currency fell to its lowest in years, in multi-decades yesterday. And Mexican currency as well dropped as well. The yuan slid slightly. And of course, that's the Chinese currency, has like 2 currencies. The one that trades mainland China and the one that they use globally. The one that they use globally also fell slightly over the weekend. Meanwhile, the US dollar was stronger. And so that's a bit of a concern. If the US dollar is stronger, what happens to the Naira? Because we all know the Naira gained massively last week. So we're all happy that we saw the exchange rate, tilting to about 1610 or 1615 at the parallel market. And projections were that it could probably even fall below the 16 level today or this week. But with a stronger dollar, it kind of seems like most global currencies are going to weaken against a stronger dollar. That's what tends to happen when you have massive tariff impositions like this. So that's something we're going to be watching. And if you want to, follow and see what this means for you and for the Nigerian economy and for the African economy, you might want to check NMTV, Nairametrics TV, where we give you up-to-date breakdowns at your own pace. Everything is on demand these days. You can just go there and just watch whenever you want, and you can see all expert analysis. I do have one particular analysis that I did on why I think the Naira could be strong this year. You want to check that as well. Of course, there's another important show you don't want to miss, Drinks and Mics, where we do analyze several things. We talked about was it DeepSeek? Yeah, we talked about DeepSeek as well. We talked about potential Trump tariffs. We talked about Nigeria's exchange rate as well. So several things going on. But we go back to the equities market where the Nigerian All-Share Index closed the month of January on a bullish note. Stocks rising strongly by, I think, 1.5% from the month's opening figure of 102,928. At some point, I didn't think that January was going to be positive for stocks, but it looks like we've seen a positive January for Nigerian stocks, which is a good indicator of what is to come. So the NGX Premium Index achieved a modest gain of 0.17%, buoyed by strong performances from MTN, Zenith Bank, UBA, FBN, and Access Corp. Essentially, the FUGAs driving market growth during the month as well. Sectoral indices, the NGX Banking Index was also impressive as it grew 9.47%, driven by increases from, of course, share price appreciation from the likes of Wema Bank, FCMB, Fidelity, Stanbic as well. So these are the banking stocks that drove growth in the NGX. And of course, you go to the Consumer Goods Index, 4.3% up as well during the month, driven mostly by the likes of Vitafoams and Nigerian Flour Mills and Honeywell Flour Mills. And Nigerian Insurance Index also popped with 9.91% gain. However, the Industrial Goods Index, which also declined 8.5%, led by Dangote Cement, one of the largest companies traded on the exchange. Kind of looks like that automatically puts Dangote Cement in my portfolio or in my watch list. There you go. I've already given out my watch list. One of the stocks on my watch list. So gonna be watching Dangote Cement pretty soon, and who knows, it might just be upgraded into a buy on my list. So some of the top gainers that we've seen during the month. We're going to run through some of the top gainers last month. Multiverse comes in at the 10th position with a 36% pop during the month. Initiates up 37%. Northern Nigerian Flour Mills 38%. Vitafoam up 38.9%. Imagine if you own the stocks, this is how much you would have made in 1 month, or not 2 months, not 1 month. 1 month, Vitafoam, 1 month, 38.9%. I mean, like, you can't. So many people just worry about equities. I just wonder, like, how can you be afraid of investing in equities, but you're happy to invest in crypto or play sports betting? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me, though. Anyway, Vitafoam up 38.9%. Transnationwide Express up 44.9%. University Press was up 45.45%. Penny stocks, I'm not really a fan of some of these stocks because liquidity is not too good for them. NCR Nigeria up 46%. Honeywell up 52% in 1 month. Honeywell, at least you know that company and you know what they produce, and the stocks are out there. Is actually out there for you to purchase. So Honeywell did pretty well, 52%. Chelarams 76% as well. And the number one stock for the month of January was Square. Yes, that's him, Square Motors. I don't know if that's what they're still called, but Square. 97.5%. I don't know who owns that stock. I haven't met anybody who says they own Square. But, I mean, what can we say? It was the number one stock in Nigeria in January because it gained a whopping 97.5%. I mean, just imagine that. So if you put in 1 million naira in that stock, you'll probably be out with 1.9 million or thereabouts in 1 month. Anyway, we go to the losers, because as much as you have gainers, you also have losers, and there were quite a significant number of losers last month as well. Julius Berger was down 9.9%. Julius Berger has been one of the better performing stocks out there, so I'm surprised that it did shrink by 9.9%. Who knows? That could just be a buying opportunity. We're going to be paying attention to Julius Berger at some point. Morrison Industries down 9.8%, 9.98%. Sovereign Trust Insurance down 10%. Deep Capital Trust. I don't know where that company showed up from, because it's been one of the oldest companies on the, at least it used to be very popular in the early 2000s on the exchange, but somehow they're just still there. But the share price is down 11%. To 1 naira, another penny. It's a penny stock, by the way. Consolidated Hallmark down 11% to 3 naira. You're going to be paying attention to that stock, because it was one of those stocks that rallied last year, so seems to be making some kind of correction. Dangote Cement down whopping 17% to 394. Let's remember, Dangote Cement at some point last year raced on to about 600 plus naira, so it's almost halved since then. So we're tracking it, though. We're tracking it closely because it looks like I said, it's getting into a buy territory, currently right up there in my watch list. Now, by the way, we do have Follow the Money watch list. In case you want to subscribe, just let us know. We're going to be pushing out links very soon where you can subscribe and see stocks that are on our watch list and stocks that are on our buy list. We do cover Nigerian equities as well as US equities. Of course, buyer beware. You want to be sure of what you are always investing in. We move on. Veritas Capital down whopping 21%. To 1 naira 9 kobo per share. MRS also down 25.2%, which was also surprising, because MRS was also one of those stocks that have gained massively last year, but looks like a correction is coming in there. Down 25.2% to 162 naira. Unicel, another stock that gained massively, was a penny stock, but did post a lot of gains last year. Was down in January 30%. Interesting to look at what is driving this, because you never know, that could just be an opportunity. But the number one stock that lost the most, or the worst stock for the month of January, used to be the best stock, and that's Sunu Assurance PLC, declined by a massive 46.51% during the month. So there you go. That's how Nigerian stocks has performed in the month of January. I don't know which of these stocks do you think do you have in your portfolio? Did you face any losses, or did you have any gains in the month of January? How did the portfolio perform? I looked at my own portfolio, and I was kind of smiling, because it was basically mostly green. Didn't really hit some of the targets that I wanted to hit, but I did hit some of my targets. I'm pretty much happy with what I've seen, and so very important that you constantly look at your portfolio. Never, like I always say, never just buy stocks and just keep it there and just think that it's supposed to be there doing something for you. Whenever you invest in stocks, you have to always check it out and be sure that at least it's giving you the kind of returns that you expect to see. By the way, it wasn't only stocks that was in the news last week. There were a number of fixed income securities that were also sold by the government. I've always said that you want to pay attention to fixed income securities. For example, the DMO did announce its January FGN bond auction, where it raised a whopping 669 billion naira. Of course, allotting 606 billion of that, and the yields that we saw was about 19.3% for a 2029 bill. So we're in 2025, so that's like a four-year tenure, and then we saw a 21.79%. The 4-year tenure was 21.79%, and then we saw one at, why am I mixing this up? FGN allotted 78 billion at 21.79% for a 2029 bill, and then for the 2031 bill it was 22.5%, and then for the 2035 bill, 22.6%. So if you had money and you invested in this thing, that's the return you're going to be getting. Remember what I said earlier in the month, you're not going to be getting all these sort of returns later in the year because a correction is massively expected, and so it's going to be hard for you to see yields come this far. Just to repeat it again, 2029 we saw yield for the 2029 FGM bonds, yields of 21.79%. For the 2031 FGM bond, we saw yields of 22.5%, and then for the 2035 FGM bonds, yield of 22.6%. I did hear that there was an OMO auction on Friday, and yields were close to 30% for the OMO auction. So pretty looking like interest rates are still sticky at this point, but could come down much later. All right, so that is it for the first part of this show. When we come back, we're going to be looking at some of the stocks that did push out results last week. We're going to look at Transcorp, we're going to look at Guinness, we're going to look at Livestock, Feed, and if time permits, we're going to look at Aradel and Cadbury. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. This is Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics. My name is Ugo Dre. We do this every Monday, 8 to 8:30. You can get the recorded version of this show on our YouTube channel, NMTV, Nairametrics TV. You might want to go there. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe already. A whole lot of interesting business and finance related content for you to chew on. So we're back on the show, but before we go into results, I just also want to touch on something that I should have said earlier. For the crypto enthusiasts out there, it looks like it's a crypto bloodbath at the moment. Trump tariffs are currently affecting, crypto. Bitcoin dropped below $100,000 as investors, I'm worried about what this tariff means for everyone. Just in case you're wondering, I mean, anytime a country raises tariff, it does lead to some kind of inflation because prices obviously go up. So when tariffs go up, it's the regular people that suffer it, and so the Americans are likely going to be hit with higher prices. Likewise, the Canadians, the Mexicans, and who knows, maybe the Chinese as well. For the Chinese, the fear is that it might just affect their own GDP growth rate. It could also even affect US growth rate, and that just is a whole lot of uncertainty, and global markets don't like that at all. So that's why you're kind of seeing sell-offs occur at the moment. Again, sell-offs could also mean an opportunity for people to buy. So if you do have a crypto portfolio, particularly Bitcoin, you might want to go check and see what's going on. It's bloodbath out there at the moment. Donald Trump even did mention that there's going to be some kind of pain, but according to him, it's just a little bit of pain. You know how he talks. So, I mean, that's up to you. All right, back to the story. So Transcorp Power released its full year results. It was one of the early flyers 2 weeks ago. They did release their numbers, and revenues were up a whopping 115% to 305.9 billion naira. Transcorp Power is the power generation company that was spun off from Transcorp as its own separate entity and seemed to be doing pretty well. And gross profit as well was up 88.5% to 142.2 billion. Operating profits 114 billion, up 76.45% year on year. Of course, profit after tax hit 80 billion, 164% up year on year as well. And then earnings per share 10 naira 67 kobo per share, up 164 naira. In case you're looking at buying Transcorp Power stocks, Transcorp Power closed at about 349.8 naira as at, of course, the end of January 2030. Currently trading at one of pretty high price to earnings ratio. All you need to do is just divide that 349.8 divided by 10, which is this earnings per share, and it kind of gives you like about 35 or so times or 35x multiple. But with the sort of growth that we're seeing, 164% year-on-year growth, PEG ratio maybe slightly over or close to 2 or over 2, but still a pretty decent stock out there. And of course, the chairman of the company was very pleased with it. The chairman's name is Emmanuel Nnorom. Very pleased with what he's saying, with the numbers, and very upbeat that they would continue to grow as the power sector, in quotes, improves. I don't know whether they're going to improve though, but pretty interesting numbers there from Transcorp Power. When we move on to Guinness, Guinness released its third quarter results. So Guinness year end is June 30th. So first quarter for Guinness is really between July, August, and September, and then its second quarter is usually July, August, September, and then the second quarter would be ending in December. So they did release their Q2 numbers, I beg your pardon, not Q3, Q2 numbers, revealing a pre-tax profit of 20 billion for the period ended December 31, 2024. This is a huge reversal from a pre-tax loss of 8.2 billion experienced the year before. And now recall that Guinness was just recently acquired by Tolaram, as now basically buying it over from Diageo, buying Diageo's interest in Guinness, even though they still retain the Guinness brand. And looks like Diageo is Tolaram is already making strong inroads there, declaring a quarterly profit after several quarters of profitability decline for the company. So pre-tax profit, at least year to date, is about 4.1 billion for 2024, suggesting that the company is now recovering from the 4.4 billion loss that it recorded in the first half of the year before. So looks like Guinness seems to be on the up. One of the things that we did notice as the major driver was a surge in Guinness's top line revenue. The revenue rose to about 133.7 billion, and that is like the highest quarterly revenue that we've seen for Guinness in a long time. I think forever actually. 133.7 billion, probably due to price adjustments and increase in sales volume. And they did push out there, and they did have an earnings call last week, and we're going to be analyzing the earnings call during the week on Nairametrics. So in case you're interested, you want to check that out. Of course, another stock that was in the news last week was Livestock Feed. So Livestock Feed is one of those agro stocks that were okay. Somebody's asking me, why don't I just, so what was Guinness share price? Guinness share price was 77 naira per share last week. That's how we ended. It's gained a lot. Gained a lot over the last 2 weeks. Of course, due to rumors that they could be launching a mandatory takeover offer. And of course, whenever stocks want to launch a mandatory takeover offer, it tends to impact on their share price. So back to Livestock Feed. Livestock Feed also released its earnings with pre-tax profits of 681.5. Sorry, I beg your pardon. With pre-tax profit, so that their full year numbers came out last year. Pre-tax profit was 2.7 billion naira, down from what they had the year before. Revenue was up around 4% to 41.6 billion, and gross profit up 407% to 6.4 billion, while operating profit was up a whopping 889.5%. I kind of like, I always like operating profits, up that much to 4.6 billion for Livestock Feed. And so no surprises that their share price was doing well at some point, but it did fall slightly on Friday by 3.6% to about 5 naira 30 kobo per share. Another company that did release numbers as well was Aradel. Aradel Holdings, the oil and gas company that was listed on the exchange just a few months ago, also released its numbers. We saw its pre-tax profit up to 321.6 billion for the year ended 2024. That was an 187% increase. It was the major driver for Aradel. Revenue was up 162% to 581 billion. Gross profit up 124% to 309.8 billion. Operating profit, my favorite number, up 160% to 297 billion, while profit after tax, of course, was 247.7 billion, up 361%. Earnings per share, 57 naira per share. So Aradel, very solid numbers there. So I mean, if you've noticed, you see that a lot of Nigerian companies appear to be posting way higher revenues year on year. Of course, that is because a lot of price adjustments did happen last year, and Nigerians did bear the brunt of some of these price increases. But despite this result, Aradel share price was kind of flat at about 569.3 naira per share last week. And then we'll move on to Cadbury. So Cadbury was also in the news last week with its own result. Cadbury, an FMCG company, just like other FMCG companies that have struggled with profitability over the years because of share price, because of exchange rate challenges. And so Cadbury's pre-tax profit was 2 billion, managed to eke out an impressive profit despite the challenges of 2024. And so from what we've seen, revenue as well up 60.7% to 129.1 billion. Gross profit basically flat at 17.4 billion, reflecting the challenges with margins or with cost increases, because their cost of sale was up 77% to 111 billion. They did earn 1.5 billion in other incomes, and then operating profit was about 6.4 billion, down 18%. Nevertheless, the company managed to post a pre-tax profit for the year, 14.8 billion. Remember, pre-tax profit for the quarter was 2 billion. That's fourth quarter of 2024. But the full year pre-tax profit was 14.8 billion for Cadbury. Yeah, as much as you'd expect higher profitability growth, but the fact that they were able to even post out. Wait a minute, it wasn't even a pre-tax profit, it was a pre-tax loss, I beg your pardon, of 14.8 billion for Cadbury. Yeah, pre-tax loss of 14.8 billion for Cadbury. However, there's a glimmer of hope because the fourth quarter numbers did come out at 2 billion naira profit. So for a lot of FMCGs, what they're likely going to do this year is, maintain some kind of stability with their cost input and then see how they can increase volumes so that their top line can go up. We're able to run through all the numbers. Expect a bit more. You want to check me out on Follow the Money results blitzer later this week. I'm going to be pushing out a whole lot of analysis of some of the numbers that we've seen. We do also have another show called In Good Company, where we're going to be analyzing some other results as well. That's what you get at Nairametrics, fully covering the Nigerian economy and the Nigerian financial space so that we can continue to create wealth for you through information. This has been Follow the Money, brought to you by Nairametrics. We do this every Monday, 8 to 8:30. I remain Ugudre. Until we see you again next week, do have a profitable week ahead. Goodbye.